This is going to be fun, isn't it? Hello, Ben. It's coming up for everybody else. Well, you start messing about again.
I'll just leave.
Hello, Mike. Hiya, Mike. Is that Mike McGrath who was at my boxing fight, Mike? My old client, Mike. Hello, Pernille, Andrea, Helen, Anne. Hello. We got there in the end. Hello, everybody. We're going to have to get a little bit of time for people to come across. Shutting down. Yeah, I know which Mike you are now. I know 3 Mike McGraths, I think. At least 2, maybe 3. I just wanted to know which one you were. Hello, Pamela. I'm good, thank you. Hi, Jess. Yes, Noir. What a lovely name. Yeah, what an evening. Numbers are slowly but surely climbing. Hello, Tony. It's a big difference between this and Instagram, where it just all floods through. It's I suppose we're getting messed around as well. Hello, Natalie. I wonder if it lags as well. I don't want to. Is there a way of looking at this?
It's not tempting.
I know. Hello. Yeah, game of hide and seek. Oh, I should have put on my Instagram. In fact, you've got Instagram in that phone, haven't you? The work phone.
Yeah.
Put on Instagram, please, that we're on YouTube. Just take a screen grab of the YouTube and just say that's where we're at now. Thank you. We're just going to give everybody a little bit more time. Both my main Instagram accounts closed down, so I can't connect. Hello, Caroline. Yeah, both are just blocked now. Hello, Maxine. So yeah, we'll give it a little. We'll wait a little bit. Even the Equilibrium page where we do all our healing from, it's that's been blocked as well, and don't even really post anything from that other than course dates and stuff. So hello, Bianca. Hello, Anne. I won't embarrass you tonight, Anne, telling everybody how awesome you've been doing with your weight loss and stuff. Oh wait, orientation is locked. Oops. I just wanted to, because when people are normally on, oh, Keith, we're getting there. I think normally when people are on YouTube, for whatever reason, they turn it to the more panoramic style. I think by nature, the YouTube ones record when you press save, don't they? So, if it's meant to be saved, it'll be saved. If not, it won't. We'll just been 4 minutes of wait, saying we'll wait a little bit longer, but we normally have a couple of hundred, don't we? And I know it's been a bit of a mess around getting us here, so we'll wait a little bit, and then I'll start cracking on. And then, how many's in on your chat? Does it say?
87.
Yeah, it doesn't correlate with my numbers. The number doesn't correlate either. There we go. Last bit of messing around. Live chat, all messages are visible. Oh, I prefer that. I can't see myself the same way, but at least I can see the messages now. Cool, good. Right, I tell you what we'll do before I get stuck into this stuff. Thanks for the numbers. Don't start this thread now. I'll start. Yeah, Keith, brilliant. Here he goes. Right, start with the numbers. We'll start chatting now, and then they'll come in as we go. People that have found us, they might not have YouTube, so what we'll do is, for those that miss the live, because inevitably there'll be some that miss it now, we'll just put it in the group chat, the Telegram chat, and if you're not in the Telegram chat, please do head over to A Kingdom United. A Kingdom United. It's a play on words. The United Kingdom. A Kingdom United, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to unite the kingdom. Yeah, I'm just going to get stuck in because, still bloody hell, 100 people, still a lot of people, isn't it? And we're going to save it, and, we the numbers will follow when they find where we're at, when we guide them. So we'll get stuck in with a few things. Been uber organised. I know you all know fully well where I just kind of flow and talk and, and then feed off you guys. But there are a few things that we're going to speak about tonight that have been asked as specific topics. Because the energy work, for example, with the ley lines and all that kind of stuff now is we're dealing with bigger energies coming towards the end of that timeline, that age. The mop-up operation, so to speak, now is what's taking place. Lisa, 97. You're that one person, aren't you, that when everyone's finished clapping, 10 seconds later, you hear that one person go, you're that person, aren't you? Just because you had to be the last person to clap. Used to play that as a military game, which sounds really sad, doesn't it? But the things you do when young little boys are together in the army, running around with guns, and we're just little boys, really. And one of the things we used to always play was last clap. So you'd always and when the instructors were, by nature a lot of the time were absolute arseholes because they were meant to be as well. So you'd be really pushing it, and they knew the game. So if you got caught, anyway, waffling on. Okay, so a lot of people are worrying with, if you're aligned with what I know to be the truth that's about to transpire, the financial crash is most certainly going to happen. How am I going to word this? I'm going to have I want to talk about some experiences I've been having, which then maybe you'll relate to, and maybe, I don't know, maybe find some comfort in it to know that I'm kind of having these conversations too. And maybe then you won't find yourself getting frustrated at what's about to transpire in terms of what I'm speaking about here is the truth. And it's something I'm going to speak a lot about now, the truth, because that's going to be the theme of things, that what we're moving into now. So, all you astrology lovers that, understand the placement of the celestial bodies and alignments and all this kind of stuff, that as above, so below, that's what it's meaning. I remember when I was wearing a hat, and people were calling me controlled up because I had as above, so below written on my woolly hat. Saying it's a Freemason slogan. It's not a Freemason slogan. Oh, it is, but it's not just a Freemason slogan. That's a slogan that any one of the initiates from no matter what brotherhood, way back to whatever sister or brotherhood, light or dark, people need to, they don't need to do anything, but I would advise that, especially in the coming months coming up, as very much the same thing that I've spoken of with individuals, celebrities and such. Like I said it a while back, didn't I, about Kanye West? Ages back, I was saying he's aligned now. I can see it. I know when someone's aligned genuinely and when someone isn't. I just know if it's genuine or not. Like, I hate to say it, but that Jimmy Levy's clearly going to have a breakdown, but he's fighting his own demons now, and he's not even funny, is he, at the moment? I feel sorry for the guy because he's got a big heart, but he's going through a bit of a fall now because he's aligned with Yahweh, and Yahweh is not the real God. Yahweh is a false God. Yahweh was the false god behind Adam and Eve, involved in that whole, the fall, Gabriel, Azrael, that I've spoken about before. And he's aligned with Yahweh. Now, in his conscious beingness, he might think he is aligned with the light and the truth, but because he's not, remember when I've expressed this a lot before, that from an energetic perspective, the universe doesn't care about what your opinion is. It doesn't have a stance. It doesn't have an ideology. It doesn't have a religion. It doesn't have favoritism in any way, shape, or form. It's just the truth. Now, you can warp the truth, but the truth is still the truth. So if you, within your energetic field, your beingness, which is so much more than just the physical, physical meat body that we've got, so much more. That's a tiny, tiny percentage of what we really are. And then we realize that we are an energy field. And within this energy field, we're an energy field of experiences, not just in this life, but in all the previous as well. And we're able to access these experiences, especially in heightened states, or when we do something familiar to us that we've done once before. So then the resonance, what resonates, frequency matches an experience maybe of the past, and it comes through, and then you have this innate expression coming through you, like, oh, didn't even know I could do that, or how am I so good at this, or where did that knowledge come from? It's a deeper levels to where the soul is, that you're able to attain through certain things that transpire in life, altered state of consciousness and things like this, or tapping into the Akashic record, whatever. But my point being, when we're tapping into this energy now, it's the truth, and it's going to reveal all that is not the truth now. So that's why I keep saying, do not worry about any of the charlatans. Do not worry so much about any of these shills. Look, Louis, hello. I just picked up, hello. You're literally, hi, Louis. Get settled. Well, anyway, broke my flow there. What was it? Everyone's going to go hi, Lewis, now. So anyway, so this altered state that we're looking for, it's essentially what we're looking for when we say for heightened state of consciousness, or ascension, or closer to something that we would describe as inner peace, centered, love, light, unity, whatever it is, whatever that heightened state, more life, whatever it is. The only way you're going to get there really is by facing the truth of everything, the truth of who you are, the truth of what you've done, the truth of who you're going to become, the truth of the world outward playing around you. Because if you deny the truth, you are then holding on to falsehoods. And kinesiology shows this. So if you don't know what kinesiology is, it's broad, but I'm going to simplify it to one aspect of kinesiology. And kinesiology, muscle testing, I'm going to bring your mind to. And kinesiology muscle testing is this method where you can be holding something like a great way to test for intolerances, let's just say, for example, right? So someone who you go and see who's a kinesiology specialist, and you're going to see them to find out what your tolerances are. And by the way, this is like 100% accurate. It's brilliant, especially with well-practiced kinesiologists. They know what they need to do to go into a certain state and to work with the energy. But essentially what you would do is the individual who's come for the intolerance tests, this kinesiology intolerance test, they would hold in their arm, literally out. Oh, in fact, the bottles were on here. Yeah, perfect. It's almost like we planned this, but I didn't. It was on the table because we practice. Little jars like this, right? And if you had numerous jars like this, and let's say this is onions, nightshades, then something else, dairy, whatever. And you put it in the hand, and you would state to the individual whether they know this to be the truth or not. I've spoken about this before. They would hold their arm out, and you would press it down. You say, you are allergic. You have an intolerance to this, and push their arm down. And if it's true, there is far more tension in the muscle because the vibration of truth is vibrating through the field. Now, here's the interesting thing. You can use that to get the answers to many things that you don't know the actual answer to. Does that make sense? You don't need to know. In fact, you could do that. The whole point of using the bottle, by the way, as well, is that the individual doesn't know what's written down. So let's just say you go through a bottle and there's 3 things that have been pulled out that the arm went weak because it was a falsehood. So it said, you don't have an intolerance to this. I went to press down the arm and it was weak. That in the kinesiology test means they found something because it was a falsehood. Okay, so the statement that was made that she didn't have an intolerance to that one thing, made the arm go slightly weak, and this can be tested, and this has been tested multiple in the most brilliant ways. Go and find David R. Hawkins, who speaks about the consciousness chart, and his test on this, where they gave out hundreds of envelopes and did a very similar test, muscle test, and it was 100% accurate. It's brilliant method of testing. Anyway, what does that say on a deeper level? You know, it was great we were able to find out the truth of something, even if they weren't consciously aware of what the truth was, because that's how energy works. So essentially, any falsehoods, ideas, ideologies, beliefs, whatever they are, if they are not the truth, regardless of your opinion doesn't matter when it comes to energy, when it's the truth. This is why some people who are the truth in their very beingness can't lie, you know, even to this point. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say I'm a saint and that I've never told a pork pie. Everyone's told a pork pie, even if from the greatest of intentions, told a pork pie of some sort. I'm not trying to say I'm, you know, study as, you know, high almighty saying anyone that lies. I understand where they come from. They can come from the greatest of intentions and the lowest of intentions. They can have a motive behind them that's actually wanting to brighten someone's day or wanting to destroy them. You know, the intention's very important, of course. But the truth of the matter is, if you are holding falsehoods, even if they make you feel good, like even if the lie makes you feel good, even if the lie creates some kind of ignorance is bliss. I'm sure you're aware of what I'm alluding to. The point of the matter is that the frequency of those falsehoods are now in your field of energy, and they are bringing your consciousness down. They are bringing your energetic field down. Take it to the other extreme of guilt. You might have your own experience of this that you can draw upon it for some kind of understanding, or you'll just not understand what I'm talking about through others' sort of experiences. But if they've ever told a lie or cheated or done something that really, to their own conscience as well, has really knocked them, they're holding on to this falsehood because it's a falsehood of who they are. That's another way of looking at it. They're holding on to a falsehood of who they are. Like for many individuals that look in the mirror, and because they're seeing things from a very superficial perspective, very superficial, i.e. they're overweight or don't, because they're not desired from a superficial physical perspective, they start to then put themselves down and speak falsehoods about who they are when it's not the truth. The truth of the universe is that everything in creation is beautiful by its very nature, by its creation. I'm not talking about everything that's then been warped, because there are things within creation that are warped. There are some things in creation that are very warped, that needs removing, that's not part of the balance, never should have been, and soon will be removed. There's absolutely no doubt about that. That's the time we're moving into. But you as individuals and everything that is an organic part of creation, which is every human being on this planet, by their nature is beautiful. But so many of you, because there's a false reality that's being pressed upon you all through the mainstream media and entertainment and music and all these, they're pushing on these false ideas, false ideologies that's so superficial, it's making people accept these as a truth and then bringing the frequency number down, the energy down, the aura down, the spirit down. With that, their mental health, their energy, the lot. You know, so I'm sure you understand where I'm going with that. So what you can do is, even if you are working on that aspect, the false realities of yourself, you know, your insecurities that are creating a false identity that looks back in the mirror, that tells you you're not beautiful when you are, those kind of things, you can work on those. But what you can chop away immediately are all the other false realities, the false ideals and such like, and that might be coming from individuals that are trying to put them upon you, their ideas. If it doesn't resonate with you, send it back, shut it down, do not accept it. Don't say yes and agree, because that brings your energy down. How many times have you had that feeling? I'll explain it in the physical way, but it's an energy. It's the energy first, and then the physical is the after feeling of it. How many times have you walked away from a situation where you're like, I wish I'd have said that, and then it where's your energy, especially if you lament on it. You know, I'm pretty good at being able to just let things go very quickly because I can compartmentalize it, rationalize it, and let go. You know, that's something I wasn't born with. It's took a lot of, you know, practicing and really addressing what I say about myself and how I reflect upon any given situation. You know, you got to become really aware of it, to be honest, and then it becomes very second nature to you. And I've still not fully mastered it yet, of course not. But bringing an awareness to all of these false ideas, even people are trying to put on you, and then that you're absorbing in other ways, even if you think to yourself that's bullshit, you still might be aligning with it, you see. And again, one for me that's going to be a tough pill to swallow very soon is the flat earth thing. And it seems I speak about it a lot, but for me in the new age, the spiritual movements, it's been one of the cleverest deceptions that's been created by the secret brotherhoods, you know, name no names, in this flat earth. It's very, very, very clever. I can assure you 100% the earth is not flat. I understand why people are really holding on to it because gravity isn't real. Yes, I completely agree. I've given a demonstration before that essentially when we look at the ocean and think that's where the water ends and then we move into this ether atmosphere, the ether is an ocean as well. It's just so fine you don't think it is. That's water also. So then the density and buoyancy of the human being is the ether that we work within. And it's the iron mantle. It's the iron mantle that magnetizes us to and everything else because it's contained within the magnetism of it. This is why when you see birds flying through the air, really watch birds, how they move. They move the same way dolphins and whales and sharks do through the seas. You see a little flipper of a tail and the flippers go now and then as they kind of shift through magnetic fields and stuff. But the birds are the same. You don't see them flapping to keep up. They're just moving and gliding. And you might say that's the air. I would say they're moving through very, very fine water that we call the air. And it goes, you know, it's not as dense as it used to be. And this is then references to the firmament. So then if you understand that the ether, the air, the oxygen that we breathe. And remember, a lot of these sea creatures, while under the sea, still breathe oxygen. They're still able to take out what very little oxygen is in the depths of the ocean because there's still oxygen in the depths of the ocean. It's just that when you come out of the much denser oceans, there's much more of an abundance of the oxygen and less of the sea water, you know. And then that's why when we speak about the firmament, way back, the firmament, you got to think of it from a perspective of if the whole system has been taken out of kilter, and so then the ecosystem and all the weather systems, everything have all been taken out of kilter, then the density of the water that we used to move through, you know, at the times of Atlantis, but way before that, Lemuria, to be honest, then if you think if there was denser water between beings, and water is the most conductive for electrical impulses. This is why whales, dolphins and such like can communicate to the other side of the world through the water because the water is so superconductive. So imagine if as beings, we were walking around in a much more conductive environment. That means we'll have been able to harness energy, Tatarian technology, then we're talking about, aren't we? And then we're talking about telekinesis and all these kind of things. And then maybe these supernatural powers you hear of these Atlanteans and Lemurians that all built these unbelievable megastructures and that would find it much easier to move blocks. Because have you ever seen a massive block move through the sea? Moves very slowly and it's much lighter, isn't it? So then when you've got the technology to manipulate frequency, you've got more water in your atmosphere and it's more, and you'll be acclimatized to that as well, by the way. If that water appeared now from nowhere, we wouldn't be quite as acclimatized to it. So the firmament was destroyed, but it still doesn't mean it's a flat earth. It doesn't make any sense. A few things that don't make sense for me with that idea is that if it's a flat earth, flat disk, then that would mean there'd be a magnetic point rate in the center, which then would mean if that's in the center of a plate, everything would be getting pulled to a center, and we don't see that. That would mean as you move further away from the center as well, you would have less magnetism. When in actual fact, the magnetism or your magnetism to the iron core gets greater the closer you get to the iron core, no matter where you are on the planet, and it becomes less, and you become more less dense, and you get your most heightened experiences of connecting to higher energies when you go on the top of mountains, no matter where the mountains are on the planet. Now, you could say there's the lava under a crust board that then comes up, but again, the one that really settles the argument for me, and this leads on to a nice segue, so we'll do this. So I want to let you know on the 11th of the 11th, so that's the next month, Arthur's Seat, Edinburgh. I'm going to be there, and I invite any of you that wish to come. There'll be more details shortly, but I'm just putting it out there now. There'll be a mass meditation on Arthur's Seat, and you're all invited. And Arthur's Seat is the Mount of Olives. I'll share some very interesting things about the Mount of Olives and some other cool stuff about that very, very special place, which is the throat chakra of the United Kingdom, by the way, and which, if you think Arthur's Seat, and they call it the Lion's Seat, and in actual, when you look at it from the side, if you look at the images, it looks like a crouching lion. And what do lions do? Lions roar the truth, House of Judah, and lion is related to House of David, King Arthur, Jesus, Mount of Olives, all connected. So that's the throat chakra for any of those that were interested. And I sent a lot of people on trying to discover where the third eye was for the UK, not the earth, the UK. This is the Holy Land. And that was, I was given the clue of find the horn, because if you think of a unicorn is magical. Unicorn typically is seen with the rainbow colours. The rainbow colours represent the full spectrum. The full spectrum in one colour is that there. So that purple that you see, typically attached to unicorns, it's also seen as royalty. It's also a similar colour to the pineal gland, that indigo colour that comes from there, that's associated to the unicorn. If you think of the actual horn itself, where it's placed on a unicorn, like the horn, the third eye, and it spirals, doesn't it, the horn, and that's the energy that spirals out from the third eye. So the unicorn is representative of the third eye. It's also representative of ascension, ascended beings with the knowledge, occult knowledge. It's connected to, anyway, go and look into it if you're interested. But so I sent people on to a trying to find it, and gave the clue find horn. It's in Find Horn. I shared the pictures in the Telegram chat. Look at that place. Now, what's interesting, someone's already pointed it out. I had a quick look in the group chat. Sorry, I've not got had a chance to catch up with everybody's messages yet in the Telegram chat. I've just, I've been very busy. Oh, I was getting a look from Chantel then. Those that are waiting for your voice notes for the healing that I've done over the last few days, straight after this, I pinky promise they're getting done. They'll get finished this evening. Thank you for your patience. Not that any of you have been pecking my head or anything, but I want to get them across to you, and I want to let you know I've not forgot about you. It's just that, just after I'd done the healing sessions, I had to go take care of something that took a bit longer than we'd anticipated. Anyway, where was I? So coming back to the find horn. So someone pointed out to the side there, the triangle. Now, I'll take a few pictures of these, but the triangle, which is always set to look like a certain runway, there's one in Barrow-in-Furness from my town on Walney Island, very similar. These are all over in places that are very suspicious, and they're not even busy airports. I can tell you there's something much more sinister underneath them. And this is to do with harnessing the energy of the ley lines. And they're always in triangles, because if you think of the alchemical symbols that are triangles, and certain triangles that are formed like that, they have a little line across the top. Well, the one at Findhorn does. It's not a coincidence, that. So if you go and look at what that alchemical symbol actually means, and then if you think that the energy coming in down through Findhorn, and if you've seen it, if you actually look at that water and everything, look at it, it's like, wow, it actually looks like the horn coming in. Think of that energy coming through there as almost like the release of the DMT going into the United Kingdom, coming in down. The crown chakra is just up to the left. It used to be right above it. where the Isle of Lewis is, but it's moved over the way after the cataclysm that took place 12,500 years ago. That was what took Atlantis out, by the way. And again, I will speak about it when it comes, but Zeus and many others, the fallen angels, were the reason that Atlantis fell. And that's the story anyway. I'm just telling a story, you know. Whether it's the truth or not, who knows? I guess we'll see in time. I'm not too long away either. This is over my head. I know, guys, over my head, to be honest. Every day I'm like, fucking what? So anyway, fine horn, the pineal gland. So moving on from there, let's move on from there. I'm going to share some really cool stuff on all those UK holy sites anyway. So yeah, we're going to be working with a find horn with a meditation tonight. Let's talk about a couple other things. So a lot of emphasis at the moment is speaking about the financial crash, and people are worried about banks. I've already said this, but I'm making sure everything's out of PayPal. I don't even want to use them anymore because of their stance. So I hope they collapse and they're gone. So if you have got money in PayPal, significant amount, I'd get that out, because I think anything now that opposes the truth, anything now that looks like it's representing the leftist ideology, I guarantee you will get hammered and lose business. I guarantee you there's going to be so many businesses that were making a lot of money and pining and virtue signaling to the extreme left. They're about to go on their ass, as well as go woke or go broke. Thank you, Keith. I love that saying. It's so true. It's going to happen. It's already started to happen, hasn't it? The artists are starting to fall to pieces. We had more cancellations after the root chakra cancellation of the weekend, who lost his voice, which is what a great coincidence. So remove from PayPal. For me, all I would say is keep your cash on you. What all I'm going to say to this is that they're not going to all of a sudden go, your cash is useless. They can't do that, and they can't get away with it. That would be a final nail in the coffin too soon for them. I almost wish they'd do it, because I'd be like, right, this is it. Now we gather and rise and let's go and remove them. So they won't do that. What I would say is just know that put your money in institutions that are well founded, with very low interest rates, that are not part of the big corporations. Avoid those, because they'll be the ones to be hit. What I know is that the transition across is going to be relatively smooth for those individuals of the working class, and you might have some savings and a few grand here and there or whatever. Predominantly, you guys will be okay. What we, us, are going to experience. And I welcome it. I'm excited for it, because just like the pandemic, where I can see how it shifted so many individuals, it pushed them into a place of truly getting to know the partners. So they broke up with them, and then now they're in better relationships, or they've got an opportunity to go and work on themselves and discover themselves and just improve themselves in some way. The amount of individuals that happened to during the pandemic, the amount of individual parents that started to actually connect with the children, take them to the park, and then started to go on walks and started to actually notice there was a park around the fucking corner that they didn't even know was there. There was such a huge shift, so many positive things that we will carry forward. We'll obviously carry forward a lot of Keith moving out this week. Oh, well, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but his relationship fell apart because of the two different beliefs. Keith's aligned with what I believe and what many of you guys believe to be the truth. And it's going to be a tough time for those guys, because the whole truth is coming. The whole truth is coming. And it's going to be tough for those individuals. It's, spoke about it before, all we can do is, when the time comes, help them, pick them up, dust them off, motivate them to join us. And people, Sarah's saying there, communities starting to come together. So it's going to be, listen, this was a plan by the dark, make no mistake. However, it's chess. For every move they make, there's an opportunity for the light to make their move. And that's what we've done. And with the Queen symbolically now being removed, you better believe that the Queen of the monarch, who was the Queen of the The whole empire. Don't you believe that they didn't have much money? Don't you believe for a second that that monarchy was falling apart just because they felt unpopular with the minions, us, didn't change anything. The royal family, which now, Charles is head off, he's the last one. He's gone. He's the end of it. When you take the queen out in chess, game over. That's the most powerful in the game of chess. He will be removed. I actually don't believe William will make it in. I think they'll try and remove Charles as quick as they can. Maybe health concerns, speed up, killing him off to get William in, to try and save things, to turn it around. Be too late. From what I know of the prophecy and what I know of the insights that are being given to me and the timelines that I've been given for the full country to have been aligned as the United Kingdom by 2025, where Scotland, Wales, Ireland, all that comes. What is going to take place to unite all these countries under one United Kingdom where we fully take back the power? What's going to the whole truth has to come, doesn't it? The whole truth has to come. So the Queen, the monarchy, that royal family that the Jesuit order is a part of, that the Rothschilds are a part of, all of them are part of, they own 1/3 of the wealth of this entire planet. 1/3 the wealth. They own 1/3 of the ground, the earth that you can walk upon. Canada being one of their largest land masses that they own. They are, by a long way, the wealthiest family on the planet, and second place does not even come close. From second wealthiest families to 10th, their accumulative finances, power, money, what they're hoarding in gold, art, their art collection is what is almost worth as much as the lands they own. Their art collection, if they were to sell it off and truly represent the people of the United Kingdom, they wouldn't just end hunger in this country. They'd end hunger for the entire planet. So let me say that again. The royal family have enough art and relics and jewelry, a lot of it that's stolen, enough of it to end world hunger in an instant. They've got that. So what does that say about them? For any royalists out there that, I couldn't believe how many supposed spiritually evolved awakened souls were, giving their sorrows towards something that's just, well, many of us see it for what it is. Anyway, I'm bringing the energy down talking about that old witch. And I make no apologies in saying that either, because that pedo royal family that is with the BBC basically being its propaganda machine. The BBC is literally just owned by the royal family, isn't it? And that's why Jimmy Savile and all those pedos and all those that were working on those kids shows and such got away with it. They had a statue outside the BBC building of a man stood there with a boy in his fucking groin, the head in his lap. How embarrassing is it going to be when all these that have been mocking us for speaking out against the trafficking and Chrome and all that stuff, and it's all going to be revealed, all of it going to be revealed. They're going to have egg in the face, aren't they? And then, you know what, I'd rather wish they were right and we were the numpties that were all living in fantasy land, but it's not the truth, is it? Anyway, let's move on, we'll progress on. What I want to do, because I keep speaking about this, and when what? Who's put when? When what, Helen? So this is what again, I'll just go over some brief timelines of what I think is going to transpire now. So this month and next month, I think the vast majority of the truth is going to be exposed. It's very much aligning with that, it's there, it's all coming out. It's the president's son This is the catalyst. I know a lot of people have been saying, like, because they've got the juicy stuff. We know the juicy stuff, don't we? And I don't say that in a flippant way, like, it's dark. So I'm not being just an expression of the real dark, heavy shit, right? We know about that. So that they're being lined up with the smaller truths they can handle first. There's got to be bite sizes to this, because again, I know many of you disagree with me and say that it's not even a disagree. I don't have a fixed view. If I was push for an answer on, do I think the right way to go is to just introduce a little bit, like he's a crackhead, he does this and he's taking It's not, that's not anywhere near as dark as actually being involved with the business of selling children and women, well, all adults, but especially children, to, that stuff that we know, Jeffrey Epstein and darker. If they go straight in with that, we achieve very little. We achieve very little and would cause far more devastation from a consciousness perspective where we're all connected. It would not serve, and it would bring the economy to a crashing halt worse than the reset that's about to take place. Is going to be brilliant, because for me it's going to push a lot of it already is. How many people are so wasteful with the money, wasteful with food, wasteful with the fuel, wasteful with the money? It's bringing so many people into appreciating things and understanding the true value of things. Again, this is chess. They might have been pushing things up to force everybody to start really having to think, even if, oh shit, it's driving to work might be costing me more than actually walking to the tram stop. So I'm going to walk to the tram stop, and now you've changed your commute. I'm not saying that this is the desired outcome moving forward. What I'm saying is, in this moment of the where energies are switching over and it's the last bit of play out of darkness where they ramp things up, fuel prices, food shortages, what else can we hit them with? Dark winter, energy. Do you know what? You're going to have to start doing your laundry at 1 a.m. I've seen something ridiculous. But the ramping, it's the energy playing out. Don't buy into it. Don't allow it to come in. It's all the energy playing. Anything can do to bring the collective consciousness down, bring the fear down with all this ridiculousness, okay? And there might be loads that are buying into it and it's bringing their energy down. Do not buy into it. Like everybody else, we certainly have. Stop paying your electric bills. They don't even have the power now to be able to come around and enforce anything. There's no police force hardly left at all. They haven't got anybody within these the energy companies to come and do much about it. I'm not going to talk about the fraud on energy because there's lots of others that have done great videos on it, but I'm totally on board. One thing that I'm going to do that when we represent Burnley and get voted in is I want to make Burnley energy independent and show that it can be done, because I know it can be, because we've already planned it and we've got the blueprint ready. We just need to be voted in and roll it out, and then tell everybody in Burnley, stop paying X, Y, and Z, because if you all contribute £5 a month, you can have as much electricity and energy as you want. There are other components to that, but that's what we're going to be doing, these kind of things to get us away from these scams. It's all well and good knowing that the energy companies is a scam. The vast majority of the energy is provided for free anyway, because the electricity can be taken from the ether, but we can take it from the sun. And all we need to do, and I know this, all we need to do is to magnify the power of the sun, which is very easily done, and then use solar energy, and then you can amplify the energy when you understand how the ancient Tatarian technology works. And then when you understand, you can actually connect all the churches because they're perfectly laid in the ley lines. And then you just need someone like me who can actually connect the energy of the ley lines and the currents and the rivers and everything that connect it. And the water is what brings the current in. The current is energy. Currency is an energy. Currency is money, but that's just an energy. I'm on about energy that flows from the water. Water is the most conductive for energy. So it's no coincidence that all these churches and cathedrals and chapels and places like this were always around running water, typically from springs and such, like the energy from them is through the roof, and then that energy constantly moving through the magnetic field of a particular parish, town or village, because they have their own field of energy. So then the ley line moves through the field of energy. Every town, village, even building or even person, from the micro person or the micro cell with its own energy field, to you on the micro level, your own energy field, and then your energy field contributes to the energy field of the place that you live, that has its own identity. It'll have its own, maybe it'll have its own coat of arms, it'll have its own flag, it's got its own name, it's got its own energy, and you're all a part of it, so it has its own energy field. So then what's the contributing energy to that energy field? You'll know it. You go to certain places where the individuals might not have much life running through them. Town's bit of a dead town now, because maybe it was a town like mine, Barrow, that was thriving because it was so heavily reliant on one industry, that then when that industry was removed and technology came in, the town consciousness, because the energy and money was taken away and it wasn't replaced with anything. So then people were losing purpose and losing life force energy, and then the whole town started to shut down. It's the energy field. You only need to introduce something into that energy field that then can start bringing energy into there, and then that energy might be in the form of money, or it could be in the form of just a community coming together and starting to work for each other, and then, like they used to, just give things, exchange this for that. It's just an exchange, isn't it? An exchange of energy. So every energy field has its own energy. So what we're going to be doing in Burnley is going and changing that energy field. I also know that someone's mentioned things about the Ben stones or bells. Ben stones on the top of the pyramids, like the ones in Scotland and Wales that are buried, Ireland, all over the country, all over the world, to be perfectly honest. But the most pyramids that exist are in the United Kingdom. And there's a very easy way to go finding the pyramids. If you go and try and find astrological placements on the United Kingdom, you will find some images, and then wherever those peaks are, and you find some, hills that look like the hills, but they're a little bit sort of pyramid-y shape, just know that there's a lot of earth on top of those pyramids, and that's a pyramid, most likely. If you go and investigate them, you can actually maybe find some entrances to them. So you may be able to find some pyramids in Penrith with entrances to them that are open. Wink, wink. Anyway, and if you go in there, don't leave any rubbish. And back to Burnley, I digressed. I'm tired, so I'm going off more than I usually do tonight, so I do apologise. So coming back to Burnley, for example, so the churches is something that I speak about a lot, because these buildings of old, even if it's a church that's relatively new, like the last century or something, most buildings, the way they're dated, to be honest, are lies. And I'll show you some great images on our findings through most of these ancient sites. Some of these buildings that they're saying like a couple hundred years old are like 2,000 years old. I can't wait to go around with a team when we get the technology to date these bricks and stuff and show the true, the true age of some of these unbelievable buildings, especially in places like Glasgow, Edinburgh. If you believe that Glasgow and Edinburgh were cities that were an integral part of Eden, and those rivers, and you start looking at the buildings, you're like, wow, and then you start to wonder why the statues of Poseidon and Zeus and Athena and that all scattered around the Highlands and in Scotland and in Glasgow. It's like, what? At what point were we, even if you go in Celts or Picts or any of these, like, there's no mention of Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, and Hercules and all these kind of energies. And why have we got statues on buildings still to this day? You think that, whoever built the buildings 200 years ago, let's go with Zeus. Yeah, Zeus. Who's Zeus? Yeah, some Greek guy. That doesn't make sense, does it? You know what I mean? Mental. Why weren't they putting up at that time? If the buildings were built at the time, look at a specific time that you choose, right? So look at a building, it says 18, 17, whatever. And then the statues related to that particular building. And then look at the belief systems or prominent figures in that time. And you'll see they make absolutely no sense, the statue with the building of that time. And even, or even the common sort of religion or understanding of something. Why are some of these buildings that have got these ancient gods from Atlantis and stuff there and not Jesus or some saint, Saint Ninian or what, Saint Day, something like this? Why have they got these old gods on there? It's strange, isn't it? Well, the simple reason is because these buildings are actually the ones that remained after the flood. Atlantis times, they're buildings from Atlantis, they're buildings of the Aryan race. So it could have even been that a lot of the buildings were wiped out after the Great Flood 12,500 years ago. But then, for those that did survive it, okay, Noah and such like, and it wasn't anything about, I've explained this before when people think of the story of Noah and 2 by 2. That isn't the truth. They were highly advanced at these race of beings, highly advanced. They know how to splice DNA and manipulate genetics. So if they knew how to do that, they certainly knew how to collate DNA. So what he was done was, what he was commissioned to do by God before the flood came, to wipe out the Atlanteans that were going to cause a great cataclysm because they thought they were so much superior than the rest of the race. Sounds like a familiar story, this, doesn't it? Sounds like the Holy Roman demonic empire that came and tried to tell everybody how they should live and that their gods were aligned with Christ. Their gods of the Roman Empire, the Phoenicians, the Venetians, the Jesuit order, the Vatican, the Isle of Sicily, they're all aligned with. I always say, like, if Sicily, that island, is the power, the financial power, and where most of the energy behind the Vatican is, why do you see nothing related to Jesus or true Christianity or any of those things on Sicily? Or even in Rome, in truth, they have a few things. They have far more monuments and temples to either Roman gods, and then if they're not the Roman gods, they've got a shrine to Isis, Osiris, Ra, which is all Baal, Baphomet, and all those, Satan, Lucifer, Azrael. It's all those. That's who they're related to. And that's who the Roman gods actually praised as well. That's who the Roman gods praised. And the Holy Roman Empire used that to further their falsehood, their ideology, to praise their gods. Anyway, I went ranting there, didn't I? So these churches, anyway, I'll come back to the churches. All this stuff that I speak of, and people think, and I know I go a bit all over the place because I'm just speaking from, what I know about this story. Anyway, it's all pieced together and being pieced together in a format that can be presented to you all for you all to be able to investigate. And very soon, it's going to start from early next year. So, I'll give little snippets away and stuff, but from early next year, the truth of that's going to really start coming out. And what's great, I know many of you have seen it because you're sending me all excited. So I'm starting to, I'm reliving my own excitement of these discoveries through many of you guys now that are showing me what they've found, where it's proving or it seems a strong evidence to support the idea that this is the true Holy Land. Someone's put, I need to move to Burnley. It's a serious question I've been asked, right? And one of the things that I want to do is, because when we take this off and start changing Burnley and free them from the tax frauds, free them from this monopolization of energy that we can create for free anyway, and all that kind of stuff that we're going to be implementing in Burnley, what we want to do is, there's a lot of land up there, and we're going to have land where we create these really cool cabins that are like a little village, so people can come and rent them and stay there. And it's not going to be like we try to create some kind of business. It means paying enough within the society so you all cover your own bills and stuff to be able to move, just on the off chance that during that financial time and everything being up and down, people won't want to be moving or buying houses. So this will be a good way to come up if you want to join in things early, and then maybe over time, you'll move into a house, or you'll, I don't know, meet someone from Burnley, and who knows? I don't know. I don't want to say too much. It'll just happen naturally, won't it, as we flow into it? So I'm aware. Obviously, the vast majority of the people from here are not going to be from Burnley. But again, If you're going to come to Burnley, great, more the merrier. I know many of you have already committed to that, and people say, oh my God, that's a lot of pressure. I'm like, it's not. I know what we're going to do. It's not a lot of pressure. If you want to move to Burnley, I'm saying make the move, because I promise you we are going to deliver, no doubt about it. I will be dead before I don't deliver on this, and I don't plan on dying anytime soon, so it is done. And then once we implement all these things in Burnley, because it's all well and good again speaking about these things, and I don't expect anybody to give me their vote just on me talking. You've got to go and do it. So before I'm elected in, I'm going to be changing Burnley before we've even started, with the people that I connect with, not just on my own back, not going in there like a china shop saying this is how it should be done. It's the whole point of this. What we're going to create, we're going to create, is that the people of Burnley decide what happens with their money. They decide what money's spent on. They're not, it absolutely boggles my mind how any of these individuals that are working within the council and such, and I don't want to say everybody, because I'm sure there's some real good eggs in there that are just in a broken system, but the shit I've been seeing them waste money on, hundreds of thousands on bollocks monuments, and spending lots of money on like really just virtue signaling a lot of the time, and just making, you see all these councillors doing the same thing. They're posting pictures of turning up at the old folks home. That's great, and I hope you had a lovely afternoon, but I know for a fact it's for a photo opportunity, and I know for a fact you probably didn't even contribute very much other than turning up, oh, how's things, bit of a tea and biscuits afternoon, then fucked off and done very little. What I'm going to speak about some of the ideas me and my team have been coming up with to get you as excited, and it'll get you maybe thinking where you can either implement this in your town, or you're going to come and join us or whatever. Remember, once we get this blueprint out, after a couple of years, maybe even sooner if things move really quickly, you'll be able to roll this blueprint out in your own little village or town and say, look, this is what this guy and his team have done. They've gone and got funded an app where everybody in Burnley connects to it, and they speak directly to the individual that is representing them. It's a direct communication. And then through the direct communicating, you will have a very clear idea what it is about the people of Burnley want. What is it? And I do too, because I'm very observant, and I take no shame in saying I'm an intelligent man, and I've been going around Burnley and having a look and thinking, what will bring some life through here? What's going to, truly start to pick the energy up? And the common thing that I know will pick the energy up within every field, the field that is that town, what that town represents, no matter what kind of industry it comes from, wealthy or not, one thing you can say for 100% sure is making the place safer. Let's make everywhere safer. Water as well, 100%. The water is going to be a slower process, but that is one thing straight away we're going to be changing for sure. So everyone